Hey folks, welcome back to Stoic Talks. Today, we're diving into a question that has probably crossed all our minds at some point. What really makes them come back after you go no contact? Maybe you've been trying to attract someone new, someone who at first seemed drawn to you like a magnet, but now they're slipping through your fingers. Or perhaps it's an old connection, a person who once filled your days and thoughts, who now feels so distant you're left wondering if you ever really mattered to them at all. You've poured your heart, energy, and even parts of your identity into them, only to be met with silence, indifference, or outright rejection. And now you're here, considering, or already in the no-contact phase, wondering if it's even worth it. Do they really come back? And if they do, why? What exactly flips that switch in their mind? Let's address the elephant in the room. Going no contact isn't just about ignoring someone and waiting for magic to happen. It's far deeper and more intricate than that. If someone tells you to simply go silent, vanish from their radar, and then sit back and wait for them to come back, they're selling you a fantasy. It's not that simple. If you think that's all it takes, let me tell you, they'll never come back. That's not how it works. And today, we're going to discuss in detail what really makes them come back. Are you ready to uncover the true reasons behind why no contact works? Together, we'll dive into the psychology of no contact, break down the common mistakes that can render this powerful technique useless, and explore the real steps that can turn the tables. So hit the like button, as this video has a lot to offer, and the price, folks, it's just a thumbs up. So smash that like button, and let's get into it. Alright folks, before we dive into the 8 reasons that actually make them return, let's take a moment to understand the psychology at play here. Now, human psychology is complex, it's layered, and it doesn't always respond the way we think it should. But don't let that discourage you. When no contact is done right, it can work wonders. No contact isn't just about ignoring someone and waiting around. It's about shifting the entire dynamic, letting them feel your absence in a way they've never felt before. And yes, it will work for every single one of you if you master it. But first, let's tackle the biggest enemy of no contact, fear. Fear is the voice in your head that whispers, "You're wasting time," or "They're going to move on without you." That fear is powerful. It can make you doubt yourself, make you question every step you take, and even sabotage your own progress. But let's be clear, that fear is not reality. Fear only has the power you give it. When you let it control you, you become reactive, desperate, clinging to the idea that if you're not constantly showing up in their life, they'll forget you. But the truth? Real worth doesn't need to scream to be noticed. Sometimes, it's the quiet presence, the space you create by stepping back, that leaves the biggest impact. You might be wondering, but why didn't they appreciate me before? What's going to make them appreciate me now? That's a valid question, and here's the answer. People often fail to appreciate what's constantly available. They take it for granted because it's always there, always accessible. When you step back, you introduce an element of scarcity, a feeling that they may have missed out on something valuable. Suddenly, the void left by your absence creates a powerful contrast, forcing them to confront the reality of what they're missing. This is not playing games. This is giving yourself and them the space to see the relationship in a new light. Absence truly makes the heart grow fonder, and no contact amplifies that feeling. Let me give you an example. Imagine you have a favorite song. You play it constantly every day until one day you can't listen to it anymore. Maybe you lost the file, or it's no longer available on streaming platforms. Suddenly, You start to miss it, to crave it, to think about how much that song meant to you. In its absence, you realize how valuable it was. That's exactly what happens in no contact. By stepping back, you become like that favorite song. They don't realize how much you meant to them until you're gone. It's a simple but profound shift, one that speaks to human nature. Now here is another question you might be asking. Isn't no contact just playing games? Doesn't it seem fake or manipulative? Absolutely not. No contact is not about playing a role or manipulating anyone. This is about respecting your own boundaries, about showing them and yourself that your worth doesn't depend on their attention or validation. You're demonstrating that you're not here to be an option. You're a priority. If they don't value you, that's on them. But you're going to focus on valuing yourself. No contact is about reclaiming your energy, investing it in yourself, and letting them realize what they lost on their own terms. When you step back, you're sending a message that says, I am whole on my own. My presence is a gift. Let them feel the weight of your absence. Let them see that you're not waiting around. And in that space, they start to question things, to wonder if they made a mistake, to feel the pull of curiosity and regret. And if they don't come back, well, that's your sign that they were never truly meant for you. Either way, you win, because no contact puts you in a position of strength. And yes, they'll most likely come back. Why? Because that's human nature. Sure, you may have called them a few colorful names in frustration, but that doesn't mean they're immune to the pull of regret. Stay strong. They'll have to come crawling back, realizing what they missed out on. Now, let's move on to today's affirmation. And folks, let me tell you, some of you brush these affirmations off like they're optional or light. Believe me, this is your biggest mistake. Affirmations are powerful. They're the foundation of the mindset you're building. As the saying goes, what we repeatedly tell ourselves, we become. So let's commit to this. Say it with me, folks. My presence is a gift. One more time, with conviction. My presence is a gift. Don't just say it. Believe it. Live it. Embody it. Just because they didn't see your worth doesn't mean you're not worthy. When you truly understand that, you're no longer waiting for their validation. You're standing firm in the knowledge that you bring something unique, valuable, and irreplaceable to the table. To make this affirmation even stronger, I want you to write it down in the comments. My presence is a gift. And you might be wondering, why does he always ask us to write these down? Here's why. When you put it into words, you're not just saying it, you're committing to it. Writing it down solidifies it in your mind, turning it into a declaration. So don't be shy. Declare it loud and clear. Let this be the statement that anchors you through this journey, because we all know that your presence is a gift. And trust me, they'll realize this too. All right, folks, now that we're standing on this solid foundation of self-worth, let's dive deep into the 8 reasons that actually make them return. Let's go beyond the surface and reveal the real psychology behind it all. Number 1, they see you thriving without them. So folks, the first real reason that makes them come crawling back is when they see you thriving without them. When they start to realize that their life feels a bit emptier, a bit duller, the moment you're no longer in it, that's when they begin to rethink everything. You see, all those qualities like mystery, unpredictability, and that shock factor are powerful, but they're only the surface. What actually ignites these reactions is when they witness you not just surviving, but truly thriving without them. This is what gets to them on a deeper level. Think about it. If you're sitting alone in a dark room, hoping for them to take notice, there's no mystery there, no unpredictability. In fact, you're doing exactly what they might have expected you to do. They already know that if they leave you, or if you end up leaving them, you'll be there waiting, maybe even desperate for their attention. So why would they feel drawn back? How could that create any mystery or intrigue? It doesn't. To truly make an impact, you need to break out of that predictable cycle. You need to do something they don't expect, something that makes them question everything they thought they knew about you. Now, imagine this. They see you genuinely happy, vibrant, maybe even more fulfilled than you were when you were with them. They see you taking care of yourself, succeeding, surrounding yourself with positive people, and embracing new experiences. This shift in energy is contagious, it's intriguing, it's magnetic, and for them, it's unsettling. They start to wonder, did I really make the right choice? Was I just a chapter in their story? Suddenly, the dynamics are reversed, and they're the ones questioning their place in your life. As the saying goes, success is the best revenge. This isn't about being petty. It's about channeling your energy into building the life you deserve. When you're thriving without them, you're showing that you're strong, independent, and capable of happiness on your own terms. This is what they don't expect, and it's what makes them want to come back, hoping to reclaim a part of your world that they thought would always be theirs. You might be wondering, but how do I actually thrive without them? It's not about pretending. It's about making real, lasting changes that elevate your life and, in turn, create an irresistible pull. Start by focusing on your passions and goals. Dive into things you've always wanted to do, but may have put off during the relationship. Whether it's a new hobby, a career goal, or even a fitness journey, use this time to explore and expand. When they see you thriving in new ways, pursuing dreams that maybe you held back on before, it sends a message that you're moving forward, and they missed out on being part of that journey. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, who lift you up, and who add value to your life. People with a positive, uplifting energy can have a massive impact on how you feel about yourself and your goals. And when they see you surrounded by supportive friends or colleagues, they realize you're no longer waiting for them to fill a void. You're building a life full of people who genuinely appreciate you. Self-care goes beyond just looking good. It's about feeling good from the inside. Exercise, eat well, practice mindfulness, and do things that make you feel connected to yourself. When they see you glowing with that inner confidence and self-assuredness, it's a reminder that you're in control of your happiness, and that's something they can't ignore. Go out there and live fully. Travel if you can. Pick up new skills, and be open to what life has to offer. When you're actively embracing life and stepping out of your comfort zone, you're expanding your world. This shows them that you're not confined to the familiar, but are someone willing to grow and change. The more they see you evolving, the more they'll feel they're missing out on knowing the new empowered you. Once you're living a life full of purpose, passion, and joy, they begin to feel a sense of loss, a pang of regret. They're left wondering, how did I let someone like that go? You've become the person they always wanted you to be, or maybe the person they didn't know they needed. This realization hits hard because you're no longer an option that's simply available. You're thriving, and they no longer have access to that part of your life. This shift in dynamics is like a powerful, silent magnet. It doesn't demand their attention. It simply pulls them in, making them question their choices. As author Paulo Coelho once said, "When you are happy with yourself, You are a reflection of what they want but cannot find. Your happiness becomes the mirror in which they see what they've lost. You might still have doubts creeping in, asking, but isn't moving on without them just giving up? Isn't it pretending? No, it's not. Moving on doesn't mean forgetting them. It means choosing to live fully, whether they're there or not. And that's a powerful choice. When you thrive without them, you're not just showing them what they missed. You're also showing yourself what you're truly capable of. You're not pretending to thrive. You're actually doing it. You're showing up for yourself in ways they never expected. And in doing so, you're not just transforming the relationship dynamic, you're transforming your life. So let this be your driving force. They need to see you living, growing, and reaching new heights. Don't wait around hoping they'll take notice. Instead, give yourself the attention you deserve, and let them realize in their own time that you're not someone who waits around. You're someone who moves forward. And remember today's affirmation, my presence is a gift. Embrace this truth, because when you believe that, you're no longer waiting for anyone to acknowledge it. You're living it. Drop this affirmation in the comments if you haven't already. Let it be a declaration to the world and to yourself that you're thriving with or without them. Number 2, the fear of replacement. So folks, the second real reason that makes them crawl back is rooted in a deep psychological trigger, the fear of replacement. This isn't just a mild worry. It's an intense feeling of loss and jealousy that starts to creep in when they realize someone else might now be receiving the attention, warmth, and energy you once gave them. It's the uncomfortable thought that the door they once had open might now be shut, and that someone else could be standing on the other side of it, taking their place in your life. This fear of replacement can hit them harder than they expect, sparking a need to come back and try to reclaim what they lost. Imagine this. They once felt secure, knowing that you were always there, that your affection and loyalty were constant. They might not have appreciated it fully, but they took it for granted. They thought they could come and go as they pleased, that you'd be waiting. But now suddenly, they realize that if they're not in the picture, someone else could be. Someone who sees the value in you, who recognizes your worth, and doesn't hesitate to treat you with the respect you deserve. And that thought, it's one they can't easily shake off. The possibility of being replaced plants a seed of insecurity, pushing them to wonder if they truly made the right choice. This is human nature at its finest. When someone feels they might lose what they once took for granted, it stirs a powerful reaction. Think about how people tend to hold on to possessions more tightly when they think someone else might want them. It's a psychological phenomenon that's deeply rooted in us. It's not until they're faced with the reality that you might actually move on that they start realizing they may have lost something valuable. The possibility of another person stepping in, enjoying the moments they used to share with you, can be a wake-up call that makes them rethink everything. And here's the kicker. You don't need to play games or make them jealous on purpose for this fear of replacement to take effect. The moment they see you're no longer emotionally waiting for them, that you're open to new connections and possibilities, it triggers that fear automatically. They start to imagine you laughing with someone else, sharing your time and attention, maybe even building memories that don't include them. It's unsettling because suddenly they're faced with the reality that their role in your life is no longer guaranteed. You may wonder, but if they didn't want me, then why would they care if someone else does? The answer is simple. People are often drawn back to things they can't have. They might not have fully appreciated you when they thought you'd always be there. But when they sense that someone else might get the chance to experience your energy, your kindness, and your loyalty, it creates a sense of urgency. It's as if they're watching a beautiful painting they once ignored being admired by someone else. Suddenly, its value becomes crystal clear, and they realize they may have missed something precious. Now, you might ask, how can I create this effect without being manipulative? The answer lies in focusing on yourself and genuinely moving forward. When you're busy building a life that brings you joy, investing time in new experiences, and meeting new people, you're naturally signaling that you're not waiting around. You're showing them that you're open to new possibilities, and that if they aren't willing to appreciate you, someone else certainly will. This isn't about posting endless photos with other people or trying to make them jealous. It's about genuinely expanding your world so that they can feel that subtle shift, the one that tells them they're no longer the center of your universe. Imagine how powerful it is when they see you enjoying life, thriving, and creating a future that doesn't include them. By default, they're left with an unsettling realization. Someone else might just see what they didn't. This thought lingers, and it's enough to spark a return. It's not about wanting you out of love or genuine affection. It's often driven by the discomfort of imagining you moving forward, finding happiness and connection without them. And sometimes, the jealousy becomes the catalyst for their reevaluation, making them realize that they don't want to lose what they had with you. This fear of replacement can be so intense because it's rooted in their own insecurities. It's not just about losing you, it's about the idea that they could be forgotten, replaced, and left behind. This thought plays over and over in their mind. What if someone else is now getting the best of them? They picture someone else benefiting from your love, your loyalty, and your care, and that image can be enough to push them to try to come back, to stake their claim, and to prove to themselves that they haven't lost you entirely. And here's where you have the ultimate power. When you're truly moving forward, focused on your growth, happiness, and well-being, you're not just creating an atmosphere of healthy independence, you're giving yourself a chance to find someone who genuinely values what you bring to the table. You're no longer defined by their choices or waiting for their validation. You're embracing the reality that yes, they might want to come back, but it's on your terms now. So let this be a reminder. Your worth isn't defined by their interest or absence. The fear of being replaced is something they must confront, and it's rooted in their own choices. Don't wait around hoping they'll feel it. Instead, live fully, confidently, and openly. As today's affirmation says, "My presence is a gift." Let them realize this in their own time, but meanwhile, live as though you already know it. If you haven't already, go ahead and drop this affirmation in the comments. My presence is a gift. Let this be your declaration of self-worth, a reminder that while they may fear being replaced, you're not waiting around for anyone to realize your value. You're already living it. Number 3, the ego trigger. The third reason that draws them back is something fundamental to human nature, the ego trigger. When you go no contact, it can strike at their ego, creating a powerful need to re-establish control or validation. For some people, it's not just about losing someone. They're hit with the realization that they no longer have the influence they once held over you. This bruised ego can become a relentless force, pushing them to return, if only to prove to themselves that they can still be a part of your life. Imagine this. They once felt secure, knowing that you were emotionally invested, that you'd go out of your way for them. Maybe they took your affection for granted, believing that no matter what, you'd be there. When you step back, You're sending a message, consciously or not, that says, "I'm not waiting for you." This challenges their self-perception. Suddenly, they aren't the center of your world, and that shift can be unsettling for many people. This loss of power over someone else's emotions can be a jarring reality check, especially if they believe they held all the control in the dynamic. Here's the twist. It's not always about love or even genuine interest. Sometimes, their need to reconnect is driven by a desire to repair their wounded ego. The idea that you might move on, or even more significantly, that you're no longer under their influence, can create a deep discomfort. They're left wondering, how could they walk away so easily? Or have they forgotten about me? This internal questioning often drives them back, seeking that familiar sense of validation. Consider the way people behave with possessions they think they own. When something valuable starts slipping away, or when they're at risk of losing it, they suddenly remember its worth. But when you haven't heard it in a long time, you're suddenly hit with a wave of nostalgia. The moment it plays again, you're reminded of the emotions it brought up, and it feels fresh and meaningful all over again. That's exactly how the nostalgia effect works in relationships. When you go no contact, you create the silence that lets them hear the relationship's tune in a new way, and they start missing the melody of your connection. They may start reminiscing about the comfort you provided, the support you gave, and the times you stood by them. These memories can feel vivid and powerful, pulling them back as they crave to relive the comfort of those moments. They might find themselves saying, "Things were so much better when they were around," or "I haven't felt that way with anyone else." Nostalgia becomes a powerful motivator because it's not just about you, it's about how you made them feel and the memories that shaped that feeling. Some might wonder, but what if the bad times were significant? That's the thing with nostalgia. It has a way of glossing over imperfections. In the absence of your presence, the mind tends to romanticize, highlighting the connection and downplaying the struggles. This doesn't mean that the challenges weren't real, but rather that nostalgia can make them less prominent in comparison to the positives. As today's affirmation reminds us, my presence is a gift. You created memories worth cherishing, and the absence of your presence makes them feel that loss even more deeply. Number 5. The illusion of loss. The fifth reason they often come back is the illusion of loss. When you go no contact, you create a powerful sense of absence that they're not used to. This sudden void triggers an illusion of loss, a feeling that they may have lost you for good, even if they were the one who pulled away in the first place. Your absence works the same way. It forces them to confront the reality that they might have lost something they thought was guaranteed. This ego-driven reaction is often less about you and more about their own sense of control, but it's powerful enough to make them want to reach out. You may be asking, isn't this just a game? No, it's not about playing games. It's about stepping back and reclaiming your own power. Your self-respect, your independence, and your peace of mind are worth protecting. And when they sense this shift in you, it can trigger their ego, creating a pull that they can't easily ignore. Number 4. The nostalgia effect. The fourth reason they often come back is due to the nostalgia effect. When you go no contact, you create the space for them to remember the best moments of your time together. The laughter, the support, the little shared experiences that made your bond unique. In your absence, their mind starts filtering through memories, often amplifying the positive ones and softening the edges of the conflicts. This selective memory, fueled by nostalgia, can be incredibly persuasive and makes them long to reconnect with the warmth they once felt with you. When someone is no longer actively involved in our lives, the mind has a way of romanticizing the past. With time, the mind naturally pushes aside some of the less pleasant memories and shines a light on the highlights, the times you made them feel seen, the fun adventures, and those inside jokes only you two understood. This is known as rosy retrospection, a psychological phenomenon where people tend to remember past experiences as more favorable than they actually were. Your absence acts as a trigger for this process, making them focus on the good and see it once more. Think of it like an old favorite song. When you're constantly listening to it, it becomes part of the background, and you may even grow tired of it. Humans have a natural tendency to want what they believe they can no longer have, and this illusion can hit hard, making them question everything about their decision. When you were always around, they had a certain confidence that you'd stay no matter what. But now that you're gone, they're forced to confront the reality that they may have lost something important. It's not just a simple absence. It feels like a permanent shift, a true loss. This taps into a psychological principle called loss aversion, where people feel the pain of losing something more intensely than the pleasure of gaining it. In your absence, they feel that pain, and it lingers, urging them to reach out and restore what they feel slipping away. Imagine someone who misplaces a valuable possession, something they've used and taken for granted every day. It's only when it's gone that they fully realize its value, and a sense of panic sets in. They may start searching frantically, retracing their steps, feeling a mix of regret and longing. The fear of truly losing something has a way of amplifying its value in our minds. Your absence creates that same effect. They start retracing memories, wondering where things went wrong, and hoping to find a way to reclaim what they might have lost forever. What makes this illusion so powerful is that they begin to question, what if they're really gone? What if they're happier without me? These thoughts create a haunting presence in their mind, a sense of emptiness that makes them realize they may never get the chance to reconnect. The illusion of loss becomes so potent that it overrides logic, making them feel as if they've let go of something irreplaceable. Some of you might be thinking, but didn't they choose to let me go? Yes, they did. But the moment you pull away and let them feel that loss, the choice they made doesn't feel as satisfying. They might have thought they were moving on only to realize that their life feels emptier without you. The fear of losing something permanently is a wake-up call, reminding them that you were an important part of their life. As today's affirmation says, "My presence is a gift." When you go no contact, you're showing them that your presence was a privilege, not a guarantee. This illusion of loss forces them to recognize that they may have let go of something truly special, and that thought alone can drive them back. Number 6, they begin to appreciate what they took for granted. The sixth reason they often come back is that they begin to appreciate what they took for granted. When you're constantly present, showing care, support, and love, it can be easy for someone to assume that your kindness and loyalty are guaranteed. They might not have fully recognized just how much you added to their life because they were so used to having you there, showing up and giving freely. But when you go no contact, you create a space that forces them to realize everything you brought to the table. In your absence, they start to feel the gap left by your presence. They begin to notice the small gestures, the thoughtful texts, the emotional support, and the understanding that was always available to them. Suddenly, The things they once dismissed as normal or expected feel incredibly valuable. It's like losing access to something essential in their daily life. Only when it's gone do they realize the comfort and stability it brought them. This shift often brings about an uncomfortable realization. They might have assumed your attention was endless, that you'd always be there regardless of how they treated you. But now, in the quiet space where your voice, your laughter, and your support used to be, they see what they've lost. It's like living with constant sunshine and then waking up one day to find that the warmth and light are gone. That absence makes them crave the brightness you added to their life, making them regret the times they took it all for granted. This appreciation that comes in hindsight can feel intense. They start remembering moments when you went out of your way to help, times you listened without judgment, and how you made their world feel more colorful and meaningful. With each memory, they're reminded of your impact, and they begin to understand that not everyone would have offered them the same devotion and care. They may have thought they'd find this with someone else, but now they're starting to realize that your presence was unique, not something they can easily replace. It's natural to wonder, why didn't they appreciate me when I was there? The answer is often simple. People can become comfortable and even entitled when they're used to receiving something freely. It's only when you stop giving that they realize the depth of your contributions. The human mind has a funny way of seeing value most clearly in what it no longer has. By going no contact, you're allowing them to confront the reality of your absence and, in turn, the true worth of what you brought to their life. As time passes, they may come to recognize the respect, love, and energy you consistently gave. This newfound appreciation is a powerful motivator. They want back the security, warmth, and connection that you offered so freely, hoping for a chance to experience it again now with eyes wide open. It's not about them feeling entitled anymore. It's about them finally understanding that what you gave was special, something they should have cherished all along. Remember today's affirmation, "My presence is a gift." Your absence reminds them of this truth, making them realize that your energy, attention, and care weren't things they could take for granted. Number 7, they see you. Setting boundaries and respecting yourself. The 7th reason they often come back is that they see you setting boundaries and respecting yourself. When you go no contact, you're not only removing your presence from their life, you're also sending a powerful message that says, "I value myself enough to walk away." This shift can be a shock, especially if they were used to you always being there regardless of how they treated you. It forces them to see you in a new light, one where you're no longer available on their terms, but only on yours. Setting boundaries shows them that you're not willing to settle for less than you deserve, and that realization can make them view you with newfound respect and even admiration. Imagine how things might have been before no contact. They may have felt confident that you'd always stick around, even if they pulled back or showed inconsistency. They knew you'd answer their calls, respond to their texts, or make time for them at a moment's notice. But when you choose to set a boundary by going silent, by prioritizing yourself, you're rewriting the rules. You're letting them know that you're not willing to stay in a situation where your needs and worth are overlooked. This shift creates a powerful effect. They're faced with the fact that you're not someone who will endlessly tolerate being undervalued. By respecting yourself and establishing boundaries, you're saying that you're no longer waiting around to be chosen or validated. You're showing that your value doesn't depend on their recognition. It's something you already understand and honor in yourself. This independence and strength of character are attractive, especially if they were used to having control over the relationship dynamic. Suddenly, you're not the person they took for granted. You're someone who respects yourself enough to walk away, and that's something they can't ignore. They may begin to question, why did I ever think they would just keep accepting less than they deserved? This self-respect forces them to confront their own behavior, often leading to moments of introspection. They realize that the person who was once so accessible is now setting standards, drawing lines, and putting their own well-being first. And this change can be unsettling. People are naturally drawn to those who value themselves because it creates an aura of strength and confidence that's hard to resist. They see you in a new light, not as someone who will put up with anything, but as someone who knows their own worth. Some might wonder, but won't they think I'm just ignoring them out of bitterness? Here's the truth. Genuine boundaries aren't about anger or revenge. They're about self-respect. When you set boundaries, you're not doing it to hurt or punish anyone. You're doing it to protect your own energy, to ensure that you're surrounded by people who appreciate and respect you. This distinction is what makes setting boundaries so powerful. It's a quiet but profound act of valuing yourself, and it signals that you're no longer available for relationships that don't honor your worth. They start to realize that they can't come and go as they please. If they want to be part of your life, they'll have to step up and meet your standards because you're no longer settling for anything less. This boundary not only makes them reconsider their approach to you, it also makes them see that they'll have to earn a place in your life. It's no longer a given that you'll just be there. Setting boundaries and respecting yourself isn't always easy, but it's one of the most empowering things you can do. It transforms the way others see you, and more importantly, how you see yourself. You're no longer defined by their choices or behavior. Instead, you're in control of your own narrative, choosing what you allow into your life. As you continue on this journey, remember today's affirmation. My presence is a gift. Let this serve as a reminder that your time, attention, and energy are precious, and only those who respect that deserve a place in your life. All right, folks, we've covered the deep reasons they often come back after you've gone no contact. Now, it's time to put this knowledge into action. Remember, each of these reasons is rooted in your power, your ability to thrive, set boundaries, and show up for yourself first. If today's message resonated with you, take a second to hit that like button. It's a small action, but it helps us reach more people who need this reminder of their worth. And if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe. Join our community of people choosing self-respect, growth, and inner strength over settling. This isn't just about watching videos. It's about building a powerful mindset together. Drop today's affirmation, "My presence is a gift," in the comments, and let it be your declaration to the world and to yourself that you're embracing your worth fully. Lastly, if you know someone who could use this message, share this video with them. Let's spread this journey of self-empowerment and remind each other that we're worth more than being taken for granted. Thank you for watching, for being here, and for choosing to step into your power. See you in the next video.